Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Hinches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Monday, June 8th. Take a look at the market action today, and then we're going to look at three stocks tonight: Amgen, CELG, and Gilead Sciences. All right, we're going to start off here with the Dow. The Dow is down almost 83 points today. So the Dow continues to play out what I think it is a breaking down out of an ending diagonal pattern. Now, some people are thinking that this still may have another leg up. I don't see it. That doesn't mean it isn't going to happen. But right now, this sure seems to be playing out. It's breaking this trend line, which is the bottom part of the diagonal in here. And this diagonal is showing up, as I've talked about for weeks now. It's been showing up on more than one indice. So, this is the count. Now, we've been down 3 days in a row. That's not a big deal. It can be down a lot more than that. And S&P 500 is breaking down out of this too. And we started this on Friday, and we got continuation today. So I think a key point, if we take here the S&P 500 breaks, let's call it, it's 2068 really. But if we get a close below, we're actually just breaking that. I mean, because really that was a support point in here, 67.93, call it 2068. And I talked about this on Saturday, the points where support came in. So I think it's primarily here and primarily here. So right now, you break down out of a diagonal, it can happen pretty fast. All right, the next one we're going to look at is the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, for acting so strong, and then we get this doji bar right up in here, and then is rolled right over. So now we've gotten three closes in a blow below the 10, and see if the 10 is going to break down. It hasn't broken down below the 21 yet. Still think we got a little topping action going in here. New York Composite, similar to the S&P and the Dow in terms of the way it's breaking down. And of course, it's gone below this May 7th point. And is that the point? Yeah, that is the May 6th, May 7th. So the New York Composite has taken out this point. The Dow and the S&P have not. But the New York Composite has taken that point out. Although this wasn't, on the other two, this is right at the trend line, which is kind of interesting. But this trend line seems to fit this scenario better, down a little lower, like this with this diagonal. Now, some people have talked about how, the last wave of the diagonal needs to come up and go over the top of this upper trend line here. That doesn't have to happen at all. I mean, the fifth wave can just peter out before it gets to that. Now, if you look at the New York Composite, it has pushed up and pushed to the high side and up over the top and did a little bit of a throw over action in here and now rolling over. Russell 2000, sold off today with all the markets, but it hasn't broken this trend line. So that would be the next thing. If the sell-off continues, I would expect this thing to, the Russell to break this trend line. If it does that, it's probably going to come down here and test this support area pretty quickly. Let's take a look at our indicators. Short-term trading index continues to be right in the middle. The 10-day is 1.10. Now the VIX was up today, up 1.08, so it's pushing. And it did not take out the high, but boy, it's continuing this, kind of a rounded up move that it's making in here. Now, it didn't take out the high or low today, kind of an inside bar. But what I'm watching for is this line right here, which this looks like a big bottom to me. We'll see. High-low index. We've got a little bit of a bounce in the number. 59 more new lows than new highs today. So we kind of backed off this number here from Friday a little bit. But we're still down below zero. And this number is still below this, I think. Well, it's right at it. So we broke through it. We pulled right back to this. So we'll see if we see what happens tomorrow. All right, that's it for the action today. We got 1 day of trading. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. You know, the declines outnumbered advances 2-1, but the declining volume on the New York Stock Exchange was 2.6 to 1 over advancing volume. So declining volume swamped advancing volume 2.6 to 1 in terms of shares. All right, let's take a look at Amgen. And Amgen here is, it looks like it's doing a topping formation. I think we're doing a little bit of a, you know, I thought we got 5 waves up, so I believe we're doing some corrective action in here. This looks like a WX, some kind of Y, and this looks like a flat that's forming. This would be a C wave in here. Not quite sure what it's doing other than that it's continuing to trend to the downside. So we'll just have to continue to watch that. One trend line I would put in here is right here. See if that will hold or if it breaks. But short-term trend is to the downside and the intermediate trend is to the downside. And you know, they're closing in here on the 233. It's just moving sideways. All right, let's take a look at CELG. Now, CELG looks like it's actually putting in a little bit more of a top even. And I happen to notice I started drawing these trend lines here. And you can see it broke the trend line here. And then, you know, you could draw trend lines across here, trend line here. And of course, you got this bigger trend line from the low point right here in April of 2014. And we're right at that trend line, really. So then when you start to look at it a little bit closer, you can see how it looks like it's doing a topping type action in here. And this, you know, this almost looks like a Head and Shoulders top. I mean, I need to look at the volume and things like that a little bit closer, but you can see what I'm talking about here if I'm not drawing my curves too well. But that's what I would expect to happen. It needs to break this trend line here. And then break down through here to confirm that. But that's what it looks like anyway at this point. Let's see, we've got the 10 breaking below the 21, so it's a sign that the short term is trying to turn back down. Now it broke down here, pulled back to it, came back down again in the second leg down. Then we got a little rally, and it's almost a little bit like an ABC doing something else. I don't know. This picture is not totally clear to me. And so, but then, you know, the fact that this is pulling back down, the moving average is crossing, it looks like it wants to continue to move to the downside. So that's the way I'd be watching it and looking to play it. Let me blow it up just a little bit. Let me look at the indicators here real quick. RSI is down here. I'm not getting any kind of reading, you know, negative or bullish on that. Same thing on this. And mainly it's because of the way the price chart is in here, this point. So you kind of like sit back and say, okay, how does anything, well, you haven't gone lower than this point, so you can't get any kind of bullish divergence in here. You definitely got some bullish divergence on this move, which then caused this rally, or, you know, allowed this rally to happen. It kind of tied into that. Let me look at the RSI. Now the RSI didn't show the bullish divergence between here and here like the previous indicator did. So it's no clear reading in here other than we're down close to being in oversold territory, but we're not really strongly oversold by any means. So I'd say the scenario on CELG is I'm looking at a top, looking at a large head and shoulder, potential head and shoulders top, and really it's had a big move. It's, you know, a lot of times when you look at a head and shoulder, you say, well, you need to, some people see a lot of head and shoulders in a lot of different places, but it needs to reverse a move. It needs to have something to reverse. Well, there is a huge move to reverse here on CELG, so this could very easily be what's playing out. And then the last thing we'll take a look at is Gilead Sciences. Now this is a little bit stronger in terms of the price action that's going on. It's not rolling over, not breaking down yet, although it does look like, when I looked at it on the bigger picture, I think we've got 5 major waves up, and I think we had 5 primary waves up. I think we're in some kind of topping formation also. And whenever I start to see 3 waves like this, I start to think that we've got some kind of corrective action going on. And then it, it really gets to, is this enough based on the previous wave count, that type of thing. And that's why I'm labeling this as AB. This is what I think is going on. And so we shall see. It hasn't taken out this top here yet. Oh, the other thing that's happening on this move, that's the other thing I noticed on Gilead, is that we are getting some divergence back in here. Let me blow that up a little bit. So on this move, this last leg up, we're getting divergence on the RSI, we're getting divergence on the demand, and we're getting divergence on DI+. So all 3 indicators are saying, okay, this thing is running out of steam. So the real question is, what kind of correction are we going to get out of it? And you could sit back and say, well, let me draw the trend line to tie into that that whole move from the low down here. And so we could, and you look to see about support. And so when you look for potential areas like right in the previous high here and the high here, could be support that would come in. And where is that? About 107.5, something like that. So we'll watch to see if this starts to roll over. That would be the next thing I think is happening on Gilead Sciences. All right, that's it for tonight. 1 day of action. Market looks like it's breaking down. It's kind of like, remember my post on Saturday? I said risk off. That was the signals I was starting to get. Risk off. Risk off means people are moving out of the market. The high yield bond fund was kind of indicating that. So we'll see what kind of continued action we get on this. And there were some interesting articles that I saw, I'll reference in the post tonight, that really kind of reinforce some of the things I've been talking about with the high-low indicator, the new high, new low indicator, as well as several other things. So if you go back and look at my posts over the last few weeks, you'll see that those things are being talked about. All right, this has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. Have a great Tuesday, Wednesday, everyone. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.